All right, here's my gown back. I now have 3 sides stitched on the foot cover, 3 sides stitched on both mittens, and I'm going to lay my gown out flat with the right side up. So this is the outside of the gown. These will maybe make sense in a minute if they aren't making sense to you right now. Don't worry about it, all right? Now you're going to find your right front and left front pieces and lay them on top of the gown, right sides together, and align them with that shoulder seam. This is what we're going to sew next, the shoulder seam up here. All right, and I tend to go up one side, skip across the middle, and come down the other. So I'm going to go ahead and get that pinned up. And because these are, in my case, I've got, this fabric wasn't quite big enough for us to cut the sleeves, so we pieced it on there. This may or may not be perfect, and so I'm going to have to manage that just a little bit. And you'll see I'm going to pin parallel to the edge because this seam I'm going to do on a serger, and when I'm sewing on a serger, I prefer to leave the pins in and come stitching past that pin. So if I do them parallel, I can do that. If you put your pins this way, I'm going to just warn you, one of the issues is if you forget, because you've got a lot of other things you're worrying about, and you serge across this pin, you will damage your cutting blade. So, you know, why take the chance? Just put your pins down here where they won't cause any trouble. All right, now I do have more pins than you're going to generally see me using, but in this particular circumstance, I prefer lots of pins. I'm going to move over to the other shoulder. Get that pinned in. And I do tend to do the starting and ending of the seam pin first, and then work the rest in. And because my mitten had this cuff on it, it's wanting, you can see it, it's wanting to pull it this way. I'm not going to let that worry me. I'm just going to handle it, come in here. Once I've got it pinned, that bubble's going to go down to the other side, and we'll worry about that later. All right, so I've got that pinned. And I'm just going to ease that in so it fits. I love that about working with knits. You can sort of get them to play nicely, especially if you're working on a serger. But this seam, if you're doing it on a sewing machine, you're going to find that just using a really small zigzag, maybe 2 millimeters wide by 2 millimeters long, something tiny, dainty, but a little bit of stretch to it. You can do the regular stretch stitch, it's just going to go a little slower. All right, so now I'm on a serger, and I'm going to put all these to 4. We're going to find out. I should have calibrated it before we got started, but let's see how it goes. Now that's curling, so I'm just digging in there and managing it a little bit. And this is what I mean by just jumping across so that I can continue sewing. With serging, I highly recommend that you always leave yourself a nice long tail. All right, then we're going to cut that off. And I'm going to unpin. You go ahead and unpin, and we'll meet back again.